All right, so the place that I'm at right now is called Sierra Health and Wellness. It is a sober living environment that is pretty much ran by a number of distractions and, say, disillusions in order for you not to really know the source of ownership. And it ultimately comes down to one entertainer who had some children who he didn't want to raise like a good father, and he let foster parents, one or two of whom I know personally because I was in a foster home with one of them, and they had a fund, a hope, because of this entertainer's income, his status, his monetary well-being, and it was very, very high. And so this child that he had that he didn't want to raise, that he put in the foster system, he gave him this hope, and it was called the Bonito Fund, or the Bonito Hope. His dad, one of his dads, real dads, is a guy named, well, let's just say he owns the Papa Murphy's, not Papa Murphy's, excuse me, let me correct that, Papa John's pizza establishment, and his first name is David. I'll say that. Now, Benito's only one of these children, but there's also Nigel, there's also Jennifer, and there are a number more. I am not going to enumerate all of them. And none of them were really treated fairly. They were treated like children, the second hand, not really within the family, and they were just given enough money, a lot, but to suffice. And they were also part of some very illegitimate malpractice because of what they wanted to do to them to bring them to a healthy state, well-being. And I'll get into that later. What I'm bringing up is that with the ultimate ownership of these programs falling back on Michael Jackson, that's the entertainer's name. And then actually, more so Benito, which was, it's his fund that's used to perpetuate and purchase properties, and possibly Nigel's also, since I've seen Nigel working at one in Concord. And they have all of these properties, and it is a place for veterans and civilians to go to for recovery, or if the court mandates you to go in order to correct any type of restitution so you don't get sentenced. And it's a great thing. But the problem here is that there's always mischief. There's always some type of manipulation, and it's a place to create somewhat of a cesspool of individuals that can show up and give anybody they want a hard time. And from the very small, petty robberies to very intricately planned murders and missing people crimes, missing person crimes, it is a pretty serious place of interest. Now, one of the employees here who just started working, his name is August. He came in because this place became predominantly full of what they were calling themselves MAP gang members, male average pedophile. And they tried to establish that this place, this Carmichael house in California, they tried to say that it was a gang establishment, that you had to be gang affiliated and you had to accept the male average pedophile label. And they even had patches waiting for you when you checked in to in process here. Now, the reason I know about that is because I discovered these patches in the in processing room the first day, and I had questioned them that day, and then later on no one wanted to take claim after I investigated these allegations more thoroughly, and I decided to confiscate them to stop any type of gang membership process. And I have those now. Now, beyond that, this guy, August, he is an official WFB gang member, or FWB, I believe that's it, FWB. And I'm not going to guess what it stands for, but that's the gang he had claimed when he came in. And he told pretty much everybody that he is here to facilitate a young, immature gang, MAP, and to help show them how to be more productive, manipulative criminals. So with that said, he showed up with an agenda that was criminal already. Now, I just heard about this guy's background. He's known two different individuals. One, Pierre from France. And another one, I'm going to recall his name in a moment, but both of them were coming in from another country, and he found his way to them using the identity that his relative, an uncle or someone close to him, came in from Paris, France, sewed a visa into the back of his leather jacket, and now he carries on a tradition that his relative had, that he has some type of fidelity with America, such as like federal federal purposes or federal type benefits, FBI type stuff. And I haven't believed this for a moment. I believe it's a way to falsify, impersonate an agent. And I found out that both of the victims that he's been involved with from another country, France, possibly Paris also, Pierre and the other victim, were brought to the point of looking and acting suicidal and homicidal in ways of being completely annoyed, manipulated, and it was in his, in direct affiliation with August. And he was the one of the main aggressors in this manipulation. So he has a skill set of driving individuals into a manipulated mindset, making them look a certain way, and somehow making people believe that they are actually suicidal or homicidal, and then he acts upon it in a way of rage and somehow gets away with it. One of his victims he took out with a baseball bat, and the other one was with something a little more aggressive, less brutal. Well, it's both brutal, but both of them he took out. And was the other one's name Robert? Pierre and Robert? And so the point is he's here. He just collected a paycheck. I don't know if it's a rumor or a lie, but he said for the last 2 weeks, Sierra Health and Wellness decided to pay him $20,000 For what, you ask? For what job on this planet do you get paid $20,000 for 2 weeks when you just got hired with no professional background, with no education that certifies you as anything, and you're solely acting as a house manager, maybe even cleaning up after people and making sure that people are showing up for curfew and doing drug tests? $20,000 for 2 weeks isn't legit. That's well, it's legit if you think, if it is somehow reasonable and found legal. But we're talking about considering his skill set, which shouldn't be considered a skill at all, considering what he's done in the past, knowing that he's got 2 victims already, possibly a third, and that he's a very aggressive, violent, manipulative individual who was seeking out something intentional, because he has a pattern here, and this is the pattern. When I first got here, I was reading script in a French accent. I was coming up with something personal that I don't want to share with the public, and I was also just reading in a French accent just because it was entertaining with the words that I was reading on my television. And I was doing it in a way that must have been heard, and that is one of the reasons why he showed up. He thought there was another person that he could take advantage of, and that I was hiding the fact that my ethnicity and my ancestral ties were actually French, and that he was going to be able to somehow dig that truth out of me and add me to his number of victims. Now, this is all serious and very important stuff to consider. My experiences so far with the Sierra Health and Wellness have been somewhat edgy, rocky. You could say that they implement a standard that you have to stand up for yourself. You have to make it. You have to pay attention. And if someone is using a fake name or an alias or somehow skipping through the background check and causing trouble, they expect you to figure that out. And they start turning it into this idea that if you are able to do that a number of times, that somehow you're becoming more than just a regular civilian, and on Michael Jackson's team, you could be considered some type of fake federal agent if you show that type of tenacity. Something similar to what Scientology does. And it's a proven fact with what research I have from Waco, recordings, pictures, and different license plates that I have documented and saved so that I can bring them up in a case file that shows a similar type recruiting, a most definite impersonation of what some might think is a federal agent or a secret agent or even special forces because of the type of mindset and skill set that's created. But at the end of the day, if it's not manipulated, if it's not a product of hate, anger, rage, and some type of deception, then you're never going to benefit from what looks like a potential avenue into the investigative world, into the federal agency, or into any intelligence agency. And it's very disruptive and disturbing because now, with all of this evidence piled up, with the knowledge that multiple people have showed up, they've given me their information, they've confirmed that some of them are from Elon Musk, and some of them have been hired to do things for him. Some of them have been hired through a biological relative of mine who I've never met, who I don't know, who is responsible for a lot of crime in my family, child trafficking, child abuse, even murder. And one of them is associated with him who, more than possibly, who I have some type of more than strong feeling, just an internal knowledge, who raped me when I was just a kid and who may be my uncle or related to me very closely. And he came here just to antagonize and create a disruptive environment. So I had an interaction with him today also. So all of this is piling up, and it's not only working in the benefit of the gentleman I just mentioned, but with that aggravation and with those different manipulations and anxieties, looking for a change that I need to make. And there's plenty of possible avenues that I could take. Well, here's the avenue I choose to alleviate anxiety, to alleviate the stress, to walk the straight and narrow. Randy Chadley, on Sunday, April 5th, 2026, at 8:15 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, is going to inform the public, inform the Joint Commissions who has accepted this operation called Sierra Health and Wellness. And I'm going to inform anybody that needs to know that people get robbed, that people disappear, that people, if they do not stand up for themselves, end up not being able to be productive walking out of these places. And it's very dangerous. It's very aggravating. And with this decision that I've made right now, I am enlightening and providing myself a means of liberating my future and making sure that I don't get tied into what past victims, in Jesus' name, rest in peace, Pierre and Robert, if Robert is the other name. And I am going to hopefully lead the way in finding out why this is so manipulated. Is it possible that through and through from each location to the next, that this is a place of crime and manipulative deceit? You know, when I first got here, there was someone named Will. Will was claiming male average pedophile. William, or Will, was he looked Arabian, dark complected, and he was kind of short and stout. He was very aggressive, one of the most aggressive people here, and he did the same job as August. But the first time that I had to leave and come back, he had to leave also. And the word is he got transferred to, after claiming male average pedophile, saying that he is in league and affiliated, after making it known that he has drug problem, they hired him into the Sierra Health and Wellness Adolescent Center. You just have to look it up. It's at another location in California, outside of Sacramento, Orange something. And this is serious. How do people like William skate under the radar of responsible individuals and people like August? How do they get away with crime after crime in the same manner of criminal activity and then somehow show up acting as if they have a skill set that's desired and trying to implement that skill set in a place where manipulation is very, very thick. So I'm not going to judge. I'm not going to disrespect the fact that this place has kept me in somewhat of a healthy, safe condition. There have been some very, very difficult times that I've dealt with, and there's not a lot of opportunity that I get to leave the house because of the fact that when I do, my small personal space is sabotaged. So, with all of this said, if that gives you any insight on what I'm going through as I produce these videos and as I try to inform the public of the situation that I am in and that we are in together as a nation, even bring it down a little smaller, as a city and as a county, as a state, as Californians, what we are dealing with. There's even a gentleman, not a gentleman, but a guy in the back who has a load of Bitcoin. I wonder where that came from. And he is using it to bribe one person after the next. I've seen new vehicles bought by individuals since I've been here just very recently who have purchased something and just taken off as fast as they can to just leave the mix because of how thick this manipulation and deceit has been getting. So let me inform the public, this isn't a cry for help, but if you could help in any way with any type of reporting or any type of investigative, you can start with theory and then move into work that brings reasonable doubt, and that would be appreciated. Any type of information would be great. Leave it in the comment box. I am very, very anxious and eager to make sure that this place that I'm at is a place of recovery and a place where I will find a way to get back into life and back onto that track of going to college where I was before I got into a couple of incidences where I was searching adamantly and fearlessly for answers in regards to my family situation. And with some of the personnel that have been causing these manipulations and inciting this deceit, popping their heads up recently in this situation that I'm in now, it even connects to those events that happened in Modesto, California and Amador County. I can get into that more thoroughly later, or you can possibly look up on public records if it's accessible through Stanislaus County Superior Court and Amador County, Jackson City. My name is Randy Chad Lee. This is the information I have for you. If you can help out with any type of suggestion, comment, investigative comment that could help lead to answering the call for a better city, a better county, a better state, and a better America, then let's get together and put those answers into action. God bless you.